Okay, you were talking about the idea of, having reflected on your brother coming out. That's a conversation that you want to have with him. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not that close with my brother. Like, um, it's not like we hate each other. We can't be around each other. I mean, we get on each other's nerves sometimes, but like, it's not like we it's not like we don't want to be in each other's lives. We just, for whatever reason, we just haven't been able to maintain that type of relationship. Like I said, my coming out, I had after witnessing his, I was kind of like, oh well, I'm not gonna do that because that was not great. And then it ended up, I actually that night I remember my mom came into my room, and because even though when we approached my parents initially, like I was there with him as
Hmm.
well as our neighbor. We actually went over to my neighbor's house because she was like a second mom to us, and so he had confided in her and was hoping to get some support that way.
Hmm.
And seemingly it was all like things were good. She seemed supportive, and then when we walked over to our house, it just kind of fell apart, and the support wasn't as strong as it was when we were over at her house. So you know, I just can only imagine like what that feels like, just to think, oh yeah, like this person's got my back, and then kind of just that not end up being the case. But I remember there was a point where I got like shooed to my room, and they're like, "This isn't any of your business." And I'm like, "He's my brother,"
Yeah,
and
interesting.
then me storming off and slamming the door uh, as a angsty teenager.
Sure.
But also, I really am protective of him. He might be older than me, but I still like I would do anything for him, and I know he would do the same for me. But yeah, I remember my mom coming in later on and being like, "Well, is there anything you want to tell us?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. What makes you think that I would choose to come out to you at this moment?" I was like, "Nope." And then,
Do you think that they suspected that or what?
uh, absolutely,
Or it
I'm not
was
really
just like
sure
a,
what.
huh.
Maybe I'm not really sure. Maybe they felt like they didn't want to be blindsided again, or maybe they felt like it just caught them off guard, and they want to get
Sure.
prepared for that. But
Sure.
uh, I, I I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I wasn't in the room, so I don't know what was said. And again, I hadn't even came out to my brother and to anyone really, besides
Mhm.
like maybe some close friends. But yeah, I'm not sure what prompted that. I just remember being like, well, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. If that's
Right.
how that went for him, it made me feel like, oh, I'm definitely not going to say anything now. And
Of
that was
course, you had the
until
precursor of it not going well.
yeah. Fast forward 6 months later, like it getting brought up again, and then um, it just not being what I wish it could have, like it could have been, should have been. I don't know if my parents would handle it the same. That would be something I wouldn't mind having that conversation with them now and talking about it, because that was definitely. I mean, for both, it would be great if the both of us could sit down with our parents and just kind of talk about things um, that had happened over the years. Um, I'm not sure that I foresee that happening anytime soon, but it would be great to have that conversation with them and see if they would they still, now what they know now, who they are now, if they would still handle it the same.
Do you think that
And
would do you
part of
think
me is
that
like,
would change your perspective of do you think that would, I guess, like positively affect your relationship? Like what do you think that would do now for you?
I think it would help me feel just a little bit more supported with who I am and where I'm at in my life. I mean, I don't know if it would benefit or not, because in some ways I'm like, let's just leave it there, and just move forward. But No. Now that I'm thinking about like more on it, maybe well, it'd be great if the four of us could just talk normally in general, just have discussions in general, and it not become a thing where one of us gets upset. Well, even if we get upset, just handling it better. Now that I'm thinking about it, it very well could not be a positive. You know, it could not like it could turn out the way I feel like it probably would turn out. Would yeah, maybe not be the most positive reaction or just situation. I don't know. I just think about that sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like they have grown a lot, and like I mean, gosh, I would hope so.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I
it's been
feel
a
like,
while, so
yeah, I feel like I'm asking you because I know obviously I have you on and I'm asking you specifically, kind of a
yeah.
pointed question. A lot of the questions that I'm, reading through and have collected, it feels like there is a lot of the discussion or ask of like if, conversations after time and space would be like a helpful thing for people to experience from someone that hurt them, from someone that it was a confusing situation from someone that they came out to and it didn't go well, and like how to sort of navigate feelings about that, one in the moment, but two after. I've had, months to years separation of coming out to this person. It didn't go well. Do I have a conversation with them now? Would that be a healing conversation? What would that look like? What if it goes just as badly as it did the first time? And so I just wonder, because you're kind of in this space now, it sounds like, of just wondering, what these conversations could look like with time and space. Could that be helpful? But also, you're in this sort of unique experience of being, very close to them, but knowing how they reacted in the moment to you and also to your brother. Like, that's tough.
Um, yeah, absolutely. It's and we've talked about this. Family. I mean, for me, family it can be complicated. I mean, it's not complicated in the sense of I know we all love each other, but
Hmm.
it's it comes down to for me with them like do they respect who I am, like my pronouns, my name. Will they like honor that? Uh, how to navigate that? It's just been tough even now. I yeah, I don't know. It's I want to be able to talk with them more. Um and I would like to think that would help with, my healing journey overall. And hopefully even, for my brother as well. And because I guess either way the conversation goes, um it could potentially give you closure on that. Um, just that chapter in your life, if that's something that you're wanting. For
And
me, I'm still gonna have to think on that and decide,
of
I want to
course,
navigate that.
I
And
think
I'm in a situation right now where I live with my parents because it's hard being like out here single and trying to live on your own. It's tough.
that's so tough. So tough.
So I'm in a situation now where it's like I have to really be thoughtful on how I go about like how I want to handle that because I am in such close proximity to them and like I'm in their space. So there's just a lot of different dynamics that go with that.
I have kind of maybe an assumption or a question that I feel like is coming from my own specific place, and I just want to hear your thoughts on it. But want to preface it that way first because I think when I hear, I don't know, I've got a lot of people in my life that aren't straight, right? I've got a lot of queer people in my life. I have a lot of people in my life that are non-binary or use different pronouns. And so I myself have gotten very used to that. And I think I also have a really hard time with other generations that aren't there yet. And so I think from coming from my place, I hear you talk about, family that weren't supportive, were very negative in terms of your coming out experience, and then also don't correctly identify you in the way you want to be identified, and don't use the correct pronouns, and say they're going to call you by your birth name, and when you have, it sounds like, explicitly stated otherwise. My thought is, why are you still around them? Why are those
Yeah,
people that you're still giving your time and space and energy to? And I think I just want to preface that by saying this is coming from a place of that's maybe a decision I would make, but I want to hear why it is that you're still living with them, right? Or even
yeah.
in spaces with them when that's the case. Like, talk to me about that particular place if you don't mind, and just to the extent
Yeah,
you feel comfortable, of course.
no, absolutely. For me, where I'm at in my life, I am trying to set myself up financially, um, where I'm good and I don't have to be back in this situation where I have to move back in with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
As grateful as I am that they allow me to come back, it does negatively affect, it has an impact on me, mentally and emotionally, for different reasons. If I would have had different options at the time, I probably would not have chose to move back in with them. But dude, financial situations, I wasn't able to. It was really my only option at the time, and even still now, I'm just like I said, I'm trying to set myself up financially where I don't ever have to rely on them, financially ever again. Like not financially, but rely on them. Well, I guess yeah, just at all. I don't want to have to put myself in that situation again because, like I said, it does affect me mentally, emotionally, and I am planning on moving out, but I want to make sure I'm good, and that's the main reason I'm in the situation that I am in right now. And I feel like when I do move out, have my own space, I would like to try to have a better relationship with them and kind of set those boundaries with them and those kind of be like, look, this is who I am. I understand where they're coming from, and I would want them to be able to explain that and talk about how they feel about it, but also them still knowing that this is still who I am.
Okay.
And if they can't accept that, and they won't, like if they choose not to, that I will have to take a step and just not be in their lives directly. Um, and I don't want to do that by any means, because they're still my parents, they're still my family. I don't want to have to completely remove myself, but it's something I'm gonna have to do eventually to you know protect my peace and just know that I am around people who do support me and who are there for me, for all of me, for who I am now and not who they think I should be or want me to be, who they thought I was going to be, but who I am now. Because I'm proud of you know who I am now.
Mhm.
Which like I've put in a lot of work, um, internally, just trying to work on just everything. It takes time sometimes to figure out who you are, and
Amen to that.
yes,
I hear you.
yeah, like I'm proud of who I am. I would love it for my parents to be proud of me as well and respect that. Like I know eventually we're gonna have that conversation, but for me right now, I don't feel comfortable having that with them. It's one of those things that's how many times do you have to come out and if they ever do decide to, but I guess to respect that, to it can be tough. But that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. It's solely because I want to set myself up to where I don't have to ever be in this position again.
Yeah.
So it's taking me longer to get to that point. But,
Gosh, I so greatly appreciate you speaking on that, because I do think that there is, again, like I've kind of said before, there's a lot of questions related to this idea that either I can't come out, and so that makes me feel less LGBTQIA spectrum that makes me feel less queer, that makes me feel less of like being authentically me. And I want to like push back on that because I also assume, when people are in these types of situations that I'm like, just leave. Like, why are you still, with this person? But there are so many reasons why we stay in situations in general. But I think, too, specifically queer people staying in situations or LGBTQIA plus people staying in situations that feel, from an outside perspective, leave or something. It could be financial, it could be safety. I just wanted to push back on myself a little bit because I think I assume that sometimes it's easy to make the really hard decision, but it's not necessarily a decision you're not making. I think you're protecting your financial security, you're protecting who you are currently, even being in a situation that is really freaking tough from what I've heard you talk about. And so I really kind of something to pause and sort of process here is like you can be living your life, you can be dating, you can be experiencing queerness, you can be authentically you in these situations. It's not taken away from that by you staying in a situation where people aren't necessarily open to you. It doesn't take away from you. Obviously takes away in terms of like the mental and emotional capacity of the way you feel, from what I've heard from you, but sometimes people feel like if I'm not being authentically myself, then I'm not queer enough and I'm not like being me, and that's not okay. No, take care of yourself, take care of your safety, your own peace, your self worth, take care of those things. And then when you have the ability to do so, whether that's with physical space, like you said, you can start creating those boundaries and and then kind of go into, okay, what do I want this relationship to look like there's no timeline for that. That can take a long time or a little amount of time. It may never happen, but I think people get very stuck in that has to like immediately happen. I don't know. Does that make sense? I
Yeah,
said a lot of things
yeah,
there.
absolutely. No, it all makes sense, absolutely. And even for me, I'm definitely in an interesting situation because it's not only at home that I feel that way, but I also feel that way at work. Because when I started working for this company, I used a different name. My pronouns were different, and trying to navigate that has been interesting as well. So I have to put extra work into making like checking in with myself and just making sure I'm doing self care and just taking care of myself, like you said, in between because I get it from both sides as far as like I said, navigating that at work where some people will uh, call me by my name and some people will call me by my birth name and or like even with pronouns even with people that I directly work with like they know but they don't get it and even if I try to explain it to them they're kind of just like well this is just like I don't know like I just don't get it and I'm not gonna really try and having to navigate that as well so it's one of those things that I've learned throughout the years that I just have to um, make sure I'm really taking care of myself, like mentally and emotionally, because physically, where I'm at with work and at home, um, I don't always feel like safe and respected, and it can make things harder to navigate. I've learned that self care does wonders. Just checking in with myself and seeing where I'm
Yeah.
at and what I need, what my needs are, and just making sure that I meet those and like to figure out what works for me. So navigating it all just makes it a little bit easier.
I'm going to ask you specifically how you do that for yourself, like on a day to day, because I think it's important. But I just want to recognize that I really appreciate you talking about these things because I've answered questions about how to express yourself openly at workspaces. And I, again, come from a very privileged lens of that being okay. And my pronouns being on my email and um, being able to have a pride flag on my desk. I've been very lucky and very privileged in being able to express those parts of myself in my community spaces. And so I just really appreciate and am also frustrated for you, but I really appreciate you talking about this and I want to hear more because it's just not my experience and I know it is for so many people or maybe isn't for so many people, but I know we still got a hell of a lot of work to do in that regard. But please talk to me about what that self-care looks like. I know you talked about it a little bit with creating your own support, and I think that was huge
Yeah,
of finding, a therapist, creating your own network of people that do make you feel safe, right? In all aspects and
yeah,
respected too. Tell me a little bit more about like what you do on a day-to-day or some of those self-care things that are helpful when that isn't necessarily your everyday at work or at home.
yeah, absolutely. For me, I'm definitely on my like healing journey, just overall.
Healing era. Let's get it.
Yes.
Yes.
So even like in my life now, I've gone to therapy throughout the like on and off throughout the years, and even starting at a young age. And so just trying to take some of the tools from that. Actually, not too long ago, I went and saw someone, and they did the Reiki. I don't know if you've ever
I've heard of that
experienced that.
before.
And I'm like, I don't know where to put like my spirit. I'm not really religious, but I guess I would say I'm more spiritual. But I also don't know where I am at on that either,
Mm-hmm.
because I like religion also was a factor and has been a factor in my life. Like navigating that has been interesting as well. But that's for another day.
I know.
Talk
Well,
about religious trauma like for
ooh,
much longer than yeah. But yeah, so we'll get to that another.
yeah. Well, part 3 and 4 will be just
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And I had went and saw someone, and um, they performed like Reiki, and it was a great experience. Um, and I don't even really know how to explain it, but like after that, I felt like some weight just kind of lift off my shoulders. It just felt like I could do things a little bit easier than how I'd been navigating it before. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I took away from that even was just trying to make um, like manageable goals for myself, and trying to um, spend even just 5 minutes of just deep breathing and meditating. Even it could be like 5 minutes a week. Like it doesn't even have to be every day, but trying to allow myself to really just breathe and just take myself to that safe space in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And what that looked like for me has
That's
definitely
huge.
helped.
Yeah.
I've recently tried to like, journal more, or like do workbooks. There's ones that they guide you through it. There's one uh, that I have that's called "Let That Shit Go," and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to let that shit go. So it's been, um, I would highly recommend that, or really just any guided workbook. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't have to be every day. You know, giving yourself some grace and just breathe and like reflect, but not dwell. And that's
Mm.
what I've been trying to focus more on.
Yeah.
Um,
You'll
and
have to
just
you'll have to send me some of these.
yeah,
I'd love to link some of these things into the description
absolutely.
so people could take a look. But sorry, go ahead and continue. I cut you off.
Oh no, oh no, you're good. Yeah, for me, I think with anyone, like progress isn't linear. Like you're gonna have times in your life where things just like uh, might throw you off balance, or like that might trigger you and just kind of set you back. But the important thing is just finding a way back to yourself, and um, you figure out what you're wanting with your life, like what your goals. And for me, that's helped me focus. It's just helped me center myself and remember what's important and what feels good for me and what I need, and so I can try to navigate this life a little bit healthier version. Um, than what I had been doing, how I've been coping with things. So for me, it's been trying to journal and trying to meditate, but also going back to just spending time with people that make you feel supported, that
Mhm.
you enjoy being around.
Yeah, that safe space.
Yeah, it's just a huge thing for me. Just spending time with the people that I love, that I care about, that um, it just feels good to be around. Like that alone has really, really helped me throughout the years. But then, like I said, also like there's podcasts, there's so many things that you could do um, that looks like self care, and that
Hmm.
hell sometimes I just like go to the car wash. And that's like a little treat for me. Like I'll go to the car wash. That's how I
I
treat
love
myself.
that.
And
Just a
it's
little wash the car. Just watch those
yeah,
suds. Do you get the like
yeah,
rainbow colored soap?
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Okay.
I do the full if I really want to treat myself, uh yeah, just the full package, then the
Oh,
whole
let's
thing.
go.
You know,
I love that.
the tire shine, whatever the
Oh,
wax, get that
hell
too.
yeah. Get it all.
That
Just upgrade that package. I love that
yeah.
so much.
And
Oh
this
my
is something I've
goodness.
discovered about myself. And I'm like, no, I actually really enjoy going to the car wash. And like now sometimes I enjoy also actually washing my vehicle and like doing the work. But
Yeah.
if I really want to like treat myself, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to do the work. I have the means to have someone do it for me. I'm gonna do
I love that though because I think I think you said it best. Like self-care, the idea of coping strategies, it is really finding something that works for you. It's finding things that bring you joy, right? Like especially in a
totally.
situation where you feel like there are just negative feelings, pent up tension, things like that, like getting outside, finding your joy, whether it is that premium car wash or if it's a stroll through Target, which tends to be mine. You just got to find those little moments, and that goes along with like finding the people too that make you feel that way. We have so much more that we could go into. We're on the clock with about 3 minutes left in our meeting today. I want to get into the
Okay.
type five, but I would love to have you back to talk and kind of flesh out things more. But I just wanted
Absolutely.
to, before we get into the like kind of silly type five questions, I wanted to say like I appreciate you sharing all that you've shared today and being vulnerable and speaking to what so many people are going through and needing to find peace and needing to find safety in places outside of work or home. And so I really appreciate you speaking to some of those things. And I have a feeling there will be some questions for you in the comments. And I hope that we get a chance to have, part 4, 5, 6, 7, however many we need to answer some of those questions. But I appreciate you, dude. For real.
Oh, well, same to you. Like, of course, I'm really glad that I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on here and like share like my story and my experiences. I've had a lot of them, so I appreciate you, and I appreciate that. And unlike your last guest, I am very much single and have no problem with you with people going into your DMs and you know,
Sliding in, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
like
We gotta
um,
this ain't so anonymous anymore.
oh
You're like, hit
yeah,
me
because it's
up.
yeah,
Oh, so that's why you wanted to be on, huh? To reach this audience
totally,
of queers. I get it. I
yeah,
get it.
no,
I'll
so
keep
just
that in
me like
mind. Oh, that's funny. I love that.
uh no, but honestly, yeah, I'd love to be back on and um, talk more on that. But yeah, I know we're on a timeline here.
Alrighty. We are at the time where I ask my lovely, lovely guest to indulge me in a type five. You've been in showbiz before, so you know what a type 5 is, right?
I mean, that's very generous, very very generous. But yeah, yeah. Uh,
You're like, yeah, I
we'll
know
see.
what that is.
I
Well,
yeah. Let's see
yeah,
it.
let's get into it. It's 5 questions, sort of quick fire. Just give the people what they want. Quick content really kills these days. So, first question is coming out in 5 words or less.
I definitely should have thought of this ahead of time because
It's way
um
more than 5 words. No, I'm just
yeah
kidding. I'm just,
yeah
I should have prepared more.
I should have prepared for. Now that's more. But
Yeah.
should have prepared for this 5 words.
Hey, there you go.
And
No,
yes, I did use my hand. The words.
you can take a minute.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Okay. Am I coming out? This is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I can do it in 5 words. That's so
That's
hard.
okay.
I guess like we were talking about earlier, but the takeaway with my coming out experience was the support that I did have. So that's my main takeaway. Like I am glad for that support.
Okay.
Like that's not 5 words, but I
It's like
cannot.
find your people
Yeah,
and
there you go.
self dash care. Like
Yeah,
two, maybe that's 1 word.
I mean,
Does that
I could you can
feel
just say find your people is perfect way. Like
does that
is
feel
yeah
sum it up a little bit?
yeah absolutely because that's definitely what I did, and I still have. You know, some of those people that really were there for me are still there for me. We're still there for each other. Find your people.
I love that. Or go
Yeah,
to the car wash. No, I'm just
there
kidding.
you go. Perfect.
Find your people and car wash. Number two, what was your gay slash queer LGBTQIA2 plus awakening? Whether that's like media, a movie, a book you read, a celebrity that you saw that you were like, oh, what was that?
So the first thought that comes to mind was a TV show that I watched. I think it had to have been like middle school. It was called South of Nowhere. Have you ever heard of it? Seen it?
South of No. That doesn't sound familiar to me. I thought you were going to say,
Oh no. Well, Nona was later in the years, but it definitely has been like that was both have been formative for me. I think.
sure. Is that okay? I'll have to go watch South
But
of Nowhere though. What
yeah,
about that?
I think I just felt like I could really relate because the main character, her family, they moved from Ohio to like LA,
Mm-hmm.
and she's figuring out her like sexual orientation, just figuring out who she is in general in high school, like, trying to navigate that through high school.
Oh, wow.
And
That's cool.
that was like my introduction into just navigating my or like delving into my queer experience. Was I was like, oh, these are like this is happening. And
That's
this
so
is
cool.
how I feel about this, I think, and I'm trying to navigate that. But that was my first like real, um, I don't know, like
It,
experience with
yeah,
like queer like LGBT, uh, just media, and
that's awesome.
it was on I think it was a spinoff of like Nickelodeon, but it was like the N was like the that was the network. It was called the N, and I could only watch it at like we didn't have that at my house, so I could only watch it at my grandparents' house because they had that network.
I love that.
So I just remember going out like wanting to stay at my grandparents' house
You
like
could
Friday
watch
night
it.
because it would come on like every Friday night or something at like 10 o'clock. I'd be
Oh,
like, hey, can
that's
I go to
amazing.
grandma and grandpa's and stay the night? And my parents had no idea that that's what it was. I was watching that and Degrassi. Those two were the shows that really, yeah, was my introduction into like
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, this kind of goes
Mm.
off of that. This next question. Biggest queer, quote unquote, like red flags. So, not like red flags for like dating you, but like
Okay.
red flags as in like I should have known I was gay or I should have known that
Yeah.
I was queer, LGBTQ. Like I should have known because of these things that I like did in my childhood. Like an example, I don't know, maybe you were kissing girls really young, just really like come on. Um
Yeah.
just like things that are super obvious that you're like, yeah, no, that's
I
fine.
mean, I could go. Yeah, I could go like the stereotypical route and be like, "Well, I played softball for like 6 years."
Same.
Really into sports. No, I. It's funny though because earlier as I was making my tea in my NASCAR mug, I'm like, I wonder if that was a my whole NASCAR identity as a child. That was like, because I really my whole like persona. I really took that on at an early age. So
NASCAR? Yeah.
yeah, I'm
That's
like that
really
feels like it's tied down, but I'm still a fan. Like,
that's big ol' walking red flag right there. Oh, I love that so much. What about
um,
your celebrity crush?
the first one that I can remember, and I had to have been like 7 years old. Um, and the first one that I can remember was like Britney Spears, and I don't even know at the time.
Oh.
It was very innocent. I did have like a crush on her. That's the first one that I can really remember, and even then, it was very innocent. Can't. It's really the only one I can think of.
Britney
Um,
Spears. It'll
that was
be
like my
interesting.
first.
Yeah.
Don't
It'll be
know
interesting to hear
why. I was
everybody's as I go through my different guests and like reflect back on what everyone said. But I mean, yeah, great. I mean,
yeah. Well,
successful
yeah.
lady right there.
I'm not sure what drew me to her. My celebrity crushes have definitely changed over the years. That
Okay.
was we always we always have our first.
We
Just don't
always have our
forget
first. Okay, and then
forget.
final question. What does it mean to you to be LGBTQIA2 plus? To be queer? What does it mean to you?
Oh wow. For me, it's just being authentically me, and being around people that are also authentic, and that it's just being able to be in that being able to be in this community and just be yourself is amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I think it's awesome. I love being queer and just being around like-minded people and people who accept you, and it just means everything to me. And being able to create safe spaces for other people, especially like queer youth, like has been a huge thing for me. Like my coming out was not as great, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that we create these spaces to hopefully like the younger generations can kind of like have it a little bit. I don't know if easier is the right word, but hopefully feel more accepted and and loved and just supported. And I think it's just awesome. I think it's amazing. I love being queer. So for me, it's just being who I am, and even in the spaces where I do feel uncomfortable and or I've had say it's not I don't feel as safe. I still am at a point in my life now where I've I put myself out there. This is who I am, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you don't accept that, that's kind of that's on you. Like I mean, this is who I am. This
Yeah,
is who I'm gonna be.
I love that.
I
I love that.
yeah. I think just being able to get to that point has definitely been it's been great. I think we're in like a fun little club.
It
It
is. It
feels
is a cool little club.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
Um,
club. We get our own actual clubs. Sometimes depends, but it's nice. It's
yeah.
cool. I love what you said. I've just greatly appreciated for one, just you being on here and talking with me today and taking the time to do that, but to like speaking to what you've talked about today will be really helpful for somebody, whether that's just one person that ends up listening to this or multiple people. I think you're being your authentic self in the best way that you can in tough circumstances and are coming out the other end this amazing queer person that also is using that to help other queer people. So just thank you for being you. Um, it's been an absolute pleasure to just talk with you a little bit more about, what you've had to experience and endure and also how much you love being queer. It's just so cool to hear. So thank you for indulging me in the tight five. Thank you for being here.
Of
Um,
course.
really
Thank
appreciated
you.
it.
Thank you for creating this podcast. Um, I, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Like, I just think it's amazing, and it gives another. It also opens up a space like for people um, to come and ask questions and just not get that feedback and not feel. It just gives them a safer way to go about doing it. I just think it's awesome. I really
Well,
yeah, I've told you, I'm a big fan of the podcast and you. So, I appreciate the opportunity to come on here.